Badlands. Explain those Badlands. That's a hell of a name.
Okay.
Well, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the Daily Herold here on Badlands Media. I'm your host, Jon Herold, streaming to you from Florida again, outside. There's like people wandering around. I feel a little awkward. There's like a maintenance guy over there. Keeps coming back. I feel like he's trying to figure out what I'm talking about. There's also a Amazon Prime delivery guy, like right down here. But plenty to discuss today. Lots of misinformation, as always, flying around the interwebs, and I think it's a good reminder of why I take the approach I do, that some people can be very critical of sometimes. When it just so happens to be in defense of Trump, correcting the misinformation, everybody's like, "Oh, thank goodness, thanks for this." But when it has nothing to do with Trump and it just goes against people's confirmation bias, then I'm the bad guy. But I'll explain what I mean. There's this new executive order that Trump put out, and people are losing their minds over it, and they're totally misrepresenting what the executive order even does. So we'll talk about that. We'll talk about Prince Andrew getting arrested. There's some misinformation flying around about that. And a whole bunch of other headlines. And as always, I will engage with you guys in the chat, see what you're up to. Yeah, I did turn the angle of my streaming from the patio here so that there would be no risk of any window shenanigans that was being threatened by CC. Love the white background, and daylight gives you color. Well, thank you. It's a little warmer outside today, and I'm worried that where I'm at, the sun could potentially start making me sweat, but we'll see what happens. If I start sweating, it is what it is. I got my soft disclosure deodorant on, so what are you guys saying in the chat here? Texas has its mojo back, 79 degrees and sunny. Funny. All right. Let's get a quick word from our sponsors, and then we'll get cracking away. So first up, we got All Good. Make self-care great again with All Good by Jessica Storm. All Good has only clean ingredients with purpose, just premium products made with 100% grass-fed tallow and organic cold-pressed oils, no parabens, sulfates, toxins, BPAs, or PFAs, zero junk. Personally handcrafted by Jessica in Florida, each small batch item is packaged in amber glass jars, ensuring it's all good both inside and out. Start simple with a lightweight pure whipped tallow for hydration. Tighten up with no-tox smoothing serum. Nourish your hair with the game-changing tallow hair mask. And finish with the tamed hair serum for tallow beard balm for control and style. Ready for spring? Grab some tallow sunscreen and bug out balm to nourish while protecting your skin. Visit badlandsmedia.tv/allgood today and feel all good, knowing your purchase supports Badlands Media. That's badlandsmedia.tv/allgood. Phil Scarborough, go salty, scorched earth today, John. Do it. I just might. We'll see what happens. Is that a baby bracelet? And it's the bracelet my daughter made me. It says Badlands Media on it. She needed my help to spell it out, but when your daughter makes you a bracelet, you can't not wear it. So that's what I'm doing. I do shower with it. I literally just never take it off. Eventually, it's probably going to fall off, but then she'll just make me a new one. 71 degrees in Georgia, 76 in Mississippi. Yeah. All right. One more sponsor today. We got that Prime driver's like hanging out right. He like drove the vehicle up and is parked right outside. I swear he's listening to me. Maybe he's a Fed. Something weird going on. I don't like it. Anyway, we also got Native Path. as a sponsor today. All right, Badlands fam, I want to take a second to talk about Native Path collagen. First of all, collagen isn't just about nails or skin. As we get older, our bodies stop producing as much of this critical protein starting in our late 20s, as a matter of fact. And that's when joints can start aching, recovery slows down, and everything just feels harder. This specific collagen is grass-fed, pasture-raised, and designed to support joints, bones, mobility, skin, hair, and all the stuff we tend to lose with age. No weird taste, no complicated routine. Just add it to your coffee or smoothie and wham bam, thank you, ma'am. It's just part of your daily routine. Right now, you can get a special bundle deal at a fraction of the retail price and free shipping. This offer is only available at getnativepath.com/badlands. That's getnativepath.com/badlands. So if you've been thinking about supporting your body instead of just pushing through the aches, go ahead and check it out. The links are in the description of this video. This site again is getnativepath.com/badlands. Prime Guy follows Patel Patriot. I just feel like somebody's watching me. I've heard that song before. Oh, Ty, you were going to drive by, but you didn't? I don't like that decision. You should have. All right, let's we'll quick buzz through a couple of these things. We got no update on the Doge website. Silver right now is at, let's see if it's changed at all. Yeah, it's over $78 still. 78.36. Gold just under 5,000. Bitcoin is at 66, just over 66. And then the White House website. This is the thing everybody's freaking out about, and it's driving me nuts. Like, I understand people are going to freak out, is what it is. People are going to misrepresent stuff. But right now, I'm just a little more sensitive to it because of all the bullshit I'm seeing pulled against Trump. Like, there are multiple coordinated anti-Trump ops taking place right now at this moment. And it's just too coordinated for me. And this is one of those things. Okay. This is the actual executive order. And I think it was PJ Corrigan who left a rant last night in the Power Hour talking about this. And so I said I'd read through it. I didn't have a chance to do it yesterday before the DPH, but that's okay. I think it's good that I had some time to digest and see how people are responding and what they're saying about it, so that I could properly refute a lot of the BS on the show today. So here it is: promoting the national defense by ensuring an adequate supply of elemental phosphorus and glyphosate-based herbicides. Now, one of the interesting aspects of this, before we even get too far, is what RFK Jr. said about this product. I mean, over the years, I think there was a tweet he had back in 2024 talking about glyphosate and its use and cancer-causing effects, potential cancer-causing effects. Back in, let me find the story here. I think it was back in 2018 or something. RFK Jr. successfully sued, is it Monsanto or Roundup or whatever, Bayer, Bayer, over the cancer-causing effects. It was like a $223 million lawsuit that he won. Let me find this up. RFK Jr. glyphosate-based herbicides. Let me show you this. Now, this article right here is from 2025, August of 2025. Maha's moment of truth. Will RFK Jr. stand up for people harmed by pesticides? Throughout the 2024 presidential campaign, Trump and Robert F. Kennedy Jr., who endorsed Trump after dropping out of the race himself, repeatedly stressed the importance of limiting Americans' exposure to toxic chemicals in the food supply, including dangerous pesticides. At a campaign rally in Arizona, Trump promised to safeguard America's children from pesticides in food. He said millions and millions of Americans who want clean air, clean water, and a healthy nation have concerns about toxins in the environment. That's why today I'm repeating my pledge to establish a panel of top experts working with Bobby to investigate what is causing these decades-long increase in chronic health problems. Just before the election, Kennedy vowed to ban the worst agricultural chemicals already banned in other countries. Let's see what else. I know there was a post that he did. And that's what I want to find. RFK Jr. post. Hold for processing while I pull this up. Sorry, loud car driving by. How do you spell it again? Glyphosate? You'll see where I'm going with this, why I'm providing this context. It's important. And then I'll show you some of the dooming that people are doing. Okay, here's a video.
Wow, so we're kind of
wait, I gotta change my settings here so I can hear this. And can you guys hear this all right if I do this?
dependent upon something that we know makes us sick.
Yeah, we are.
Did you guys
And,
hear the video?
we're doing a lot of work in the HHS to look for other alternatives and to find find an off ramp, because the farmers don't want to be using chemicals anyway. They're very expensive. They know, they have some of the highest cancer rates of any profession. And farmers care about their land. They want to leave it for their kids. It also destroys the microbiome in the soil, and that causes erosion. And so it's not a good long-term solution. The issue is, how do you transition off of it without putting farmers out of business?
Right. Wow, so we're kind of dependent.
So this is the main thing. They're talking about the glyphosate right here. It's the most commonly used herbicide or fertilizer or whatever that pretty much exists. I think he stated previously, again, I should have had all these ready. It's so hard to keep myself organized on a Mac computer. But when he testified in front of the Senate Appropriations Committee back in May, he said that I have said repeatedly throughout this process that the Trump administration cannot take any step that will put a single farmer in this country out of business. He told the Senate, there's 1 million farmers who rely on glyphosate. 100% of corn in this country relies on glyphosate. We are not going to do anything to jeopardize that business model. Okay. So they're aware of whatever potential issues come from using glyphosate. But what can they do about it? How do you go about transitioning to a different business model that doesn't bankrupt the farmers and explode the food prices? But while we're doing that, if they're doing that, which I think they're trying to do, they put out this executive order. They've done some studies and research, and they basically established that there's only one producer of elemental phosphorus in this country. Everything else comes from foreign suppliers. It is therefore, like everything else that Trump is doing when they're examining these things, like how much do we rely on our foreign people, including foreign adversaries like China, for the things that we produce and need? Like if China were to stop sending us elemental phosphorus and allowing whoever, Bayer, whatever the company is, to make this fertilizer that we need, even if there's issues with it, we'll get to that in a second. But if China stops sending us the phosphorus, do the prices of our food skyrocket? Does that put farmers out of business? I think it would. That's what he's addressing here. That's the entire purpose of this executive order, is to declare these things. One, elemental phosphorus was already declared phosphate was declared a critical mineral by the Department of the Interior back in November of last year. And this is just building upon that. Now, what everybody's freaking out about is this part down here, immunity. This order confers all immunity provided for in Section 707 of the Act. Additionally, domestic producers of elemental phosphorus and glyphosate-based herbicides are required to comply with this order in accordance with the provisions of 7 CFR Part 7A9. I know that's a lot of mumbo jumbo, but people are freaking out online. Let me show you just a couple posts. Health Ranger, Trump just declared glyphosate-based herbicides are a cornerstone of this nation's agricultural productivity and rural economy, and he's declaring glyphosate weed killer to be a federally protected critical resource. This is insanity. He's now pushing the mass poisoning of American food crops and groceries with cancer-causing deadly weed killer chemicals that will be sprayed all over the food crops. Trump just declared chemical warfare on the American people. It's all here in black and white. I disagree. Tom Wren's here with a great take, and this is the most common take I'm seeing. Breaking: Donald Trump bypasses Congress by attempting to provide immunity to cancer-causing glyphosate manufacturers. Glyphosate causes cancer, according to several court rulings. In a gift to the big pharma, big ag industry, Trump has just tried to unilaterally block state laws and court rulings that allow liability for cancer from glyphosate manufacturers. It's found in Roundup, which is produced by a subsidiary of Bayer Pharma. Maha has been fighting with Congress for months to prevent them from inserting chemical immunity into various bills. When the GOP failed to deliver, Trump stepped in and did it for them. Everybody's misrepresenting this as Trump giving immunity to like people like Bayer or whatever for whatever effects cause cancer, which is a fundamental misrepresentation of what this executive order actually does and the timing of it and them dooming out over this. And I've seen some people, there's this account, I don't know what his handle is, but I can look him up. It's Duchinese. I don't know. He keeps deleting. Like, look at his account. He's got no posts on here. He keeps deleting a bunch of stuff, but I've screenshotted quite a bit of them. And in the post I did on this, I threw one of them in here. Can you guys see this? Make sure I have the right screen up. Yeah. Trump has lost my support on this. Promoting glyphosate weed killer, things like Roundup, saying it's a matter of national security, providing legal immunity for the companies who produce it. This is disgusting. I need a bunch of other ones. I don't have the screenshots up in a fashion that I can actually share them, but I can read them to you. One of them, he said, if you previously supported Trump and still support him now, you are a moron. No offense, just keeping it real. Yes, this means I was a moron myself. I'm rejecting this bullshit as of now, which means I'm in recovery from being a Trump supporter. There's another one where he says Trump granting immunity to glyphosate companies, Roundup, etc., is like Trump giving immunity to the vaccine manufacturers. Anyone supporting this is evil, straight up, no exceptions. Again, he's deleted all these ones. But this is what the rhetoric people are spreading, okay? And why I think it's important to correct the record, and why I think it's important to just be accurate about the information that we're putting out there generally. Because if that's actually what Trump is doing, yeah, I wouldn't be defending it, but that's not what Trump is doing. If you go and actually read what the executive order says, it does not give them immunity for giving people cancer. This executive order is declaring elemental phosphorus and glyphosate to be like national security minerals, critical minerals, and we need to manufacture them domestically so that we don't get screwed by China and all of a sudden put farmers out of business and our food prices through the roof. So what it does is the Secretary, I think, of Agriculture and the Secretary of War are going to determine the proper nationwide priorities and allocation of all mineral services and facilities necessary to ensure a continued and adequate supply of elemental phosphorus and these glyphosate-based herbicides. So they're essentially going to use the Defense Production Act to go to companies, force them to help produce, mine, or manufacture this stuff so that we don't have to depend on places like China for it. And it's unfortunate, but it's the reality we live in, that this is so necessary for the farmers. If there was an alternative for them that was as effective and cheaper, I guarantee they would use it. Maybe they're researching that right now. They just haven't found it yet. I don't know. And I haven't done any research on the actual effects of the cancer causing stuff. I haven't dug into any of the lawsuits, but I'm just trying to point out what is actually going on here and what Trump is attempting to do. Because farmers have come to him saying, like, yeah, the tariffs that you're putting out there, these could potentially ruin us. Trump is trying to engage in this like tariff warfare. He's wielding the economic stick that we've been saying. And in order to effectively do that, there are going to be ramifications, sometimes negative, to people here in America. And one of these byproducts is apparently the farmers, which led to Trump doing this executive order. Now, the immunity part, let's actually look at this. This order confers all immunity provided for in Section 707 of the Act, 50 U.S.C. 4557. So instead of just assuming that this gives them blanket immunity for everything, maybe it's important to actually go and read Section 707 of 50 U.S.C. 4557. And when doing that, you'll see It doesn't give blanket immunity. 4557, liability for compliance with invalid regulations, discrimination against orders or contracts affected by priorities and allocations. No person shall be held liable for damages or penalties for any act or failure to act resulting directly or indirectly from compliance with a rule, regulation, or order issued pursuant to this chapter, notwithstanding that any such rule, regulation, or order shall thereafter be declared by judicial or other competent authority to be invalid. No person shall discriminate against orders or contracts to which priority is assigned or for which materials or facilities are allocated under subchapter 1 of this chapter or any other rule, blah, 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 blah. What this is saying, guys, let me give you a hypothetical. Let's say there's a guy named Tom Renz, okay? And Tom Renz he needs so many tampons. Like he needs an insane amount of tampons. So he enters into a contract with Tampax to supply him with the tampons he requires. Okay, and they've been doing this for years, lots of tampons flowing, big contract. But then all of a sudden, this executive order, the Secretary of War, Secretary of Agriculture, whatever, Brooke Rollins, they go to Tampax and be like, hey, we need your facilities to help us produce elemental phosphorus, whatever. This executive order requires them to do that. And, the DOD will set up a contract and give them fair price, whatever. They're not going to go out of business because of it. But because they are being forced by the government, essentially, to produce elemental phosphorus, they can no longer live up to the expectations agreed to in the contract they had with Tom Renz for tampons. So this pisses Tom Renz off. He's desperate for his tampons. He had this contract with Tampax. What's he going to do? So he wants to go and sue Tampax, be like, hey, we had a contract. You live up to that contract. I'm going to sue you now. If that was allowed to happen, it would put these companies out of business because the government forced them to produce stuff that they deemed to be of national security. That is the immunity that this executive order is giving Tampax right now. Does that make sense? Whatever companies they go to and say, hey, we need you to help us produce elemental phosphorus, and you're going to do that no matter what, but we will protect you from other people suing you for those pre-existing contracts you had. That's the immunity they have. It has nothing to do with cancer. It has nothing to do with anything else. It's just that. And if we want to have a discussion of whether or not phosphate or whatever, the chemical in the herbicides is not good for us, we should be having that discussion. We can still pursue that. Maybe that's where our focus should be. Maybe in some of these AI companies, instead of trying to go to the moon, maybe we should figure out how to make our food healthier and grow more safely. Maybe Trump's already looking into that. RFK Jr. and Maha put out the Maha report at the end of 2025 or middle of 2025. They didn't address this at all. But I still have a pretty good inkling that they understand the problems with this and they are looking for ways to properly address it. But in the meantime, what happens if China cuts off the supply? Farmers go broke. Food prices skyrocket. And then we become dependent on foreign countries, not just for the element, but food generally. It's a precarious situation to be in. It's a tightrope that Trump is navigating here. But misrepresenting the immunity provided in this executive order, for whatever reason, maybe it's intentional, maybe it's not, maybe it's just stupidity, retardation, I don't know. But regardless, by misrepresenting it, they are causing people to have an inappropriate and ill-conceived stance and view on Trump, which they are using against him. It's an op. And it seems to come from a lot of the same people. But when we see an op, you got to call it out. And that's what I'm doing. So I think this is stupid. I wish people would be more accurate. And I wish people would more routinely encourage the pursuit of actual truth instead of only when it suits them. Because this is my approach to everything, including the Epstein files. People don't want to hear what the Epstein files, but with this executive order, I'm sure I'll get way more engagement on this than I ever would on any of the stuff that's going against other people's confirmation bias. But we should probably just pursue the truth always, no matter where that takes us. There may be times where pursuing the truth goes against, it's not a good thing for Trump. That might happen, but it shouldn't matter. It should be about the truth all the time. But right now, stuff like this is being weaponized against Trump. And I think the same thing is happening with the Epstein files. I see them both the same way. They're ops against Trump. People like hearing this one better than the other one. But does that make sense? 1/4 of the farmland in Iowa is owned by non-Iowan cooperations. Yeah, I don't like that either. There are so many issues with things in this country. Like a lot of them. I routinely try to point them out and get called a doomer for it. But we still got to fix that stuff. It has to be addressed, and we can't just wait for them to do it. And now I think people having the conversation about whether or not these things should be in our food, it's a great conversation to be having. That's the only benefit I think that's coming from these people dooming out. Yeah, we're going to talk about the Prince Andrew stuff here shortly. If we pursued truth always, the WWE would go broke. Yeah. Seeing Stewart, Trump doesn't make it easy. Mansplaining to my ex that a man that talks about grabbing pussy loves our children. Yeah. I get what you're saying. John, can't cut a meth head off cold turkey. You have to wean them off. What if we just haven't found a better, or cheaper alternative to this thing? I mean, the fact that if it's true that 100% of farmers who grow corn use this, that's scary. That's a scary prospect. And something needs to change. But while Trump is pursuing all these goals and parts of his agenda and trying to take down this monolithic, just massive thing that is the deep state, and they're in everything. If he's going to successfully do that, there's going to be things that happen which we don't like. And again, I voice those things that I don't like all the time. And that's great. But you can understand the game theory and there's going to be steps necessary here. And I see this as one of those steps. You can understand that while still pursuing the ultimate goal of getting the fertilizer completely changed out into something more all natural that's cheaper, safer, whatever. You can do both those things at the same time. Rocket Savvy, glyphosate must be removed from our food supply. I see this as another call for we the people to demand what is right, just like you got Dems to demand the release of the Epstein files. Yeah, keep pursuing it. Keep talking about it. But you can also talk about that stuff while understanding that what other option did Trump have here? The alternative is proven. It's called regenerative farming. I don't know anything about that. I'm just simply pointing out what this executive order actually says to prevent you guys from being blackpilled and to prevent you guys from falling for clickbait, because there's just so much clickbait going around. And that's the next topic we can get into is the Prince Andrew stuff. Where are we at? Yeah, here we go. Former Prince Andrew arrested on suspicion of misconduct in public office. Now, Prince Andrew, he's been at the center of the Epstein file stuff. Like a lot of people talking about this. And that's kind of how it's being portrayed in a lot of circles. What I'm seeing is see the Epstein files, we're finally taking them down. Why can't we do that here? Kind of perpetuating the cover-up type aspect of things. Let me show you an example of this. I think it was Nancy Mace who had a pretty dumb post about this. Oh, come on here. Hold for processing. Profile. Yeah, so Nancy Mace. The UK has officially done more to prosecute Epstein predators than our own government. Shameful. And this, again, this is the underlying tone being spread out there now that he's been arrested. The thing is, though, guys, and I'm not trying to say that he wasn't guilty of any form of sexual predation or whatever. But that is not why he was arrested. Prince Andrew's arrest has nothing to do with anything sexual in manner at all. It has to do with him sharing government secrets with Epstein, like for financial benefit. This is a story that came out. Let me find it. What's the date today? I think this is the story. Yeah. So this is, it says it's 3 hours ago, but they're talking about it from a while ago. Like I think it came out 2 weeks ago or so. A document apparently sent by Andrew Mountbatten Windsor to Jeffrey Epstein included information on investment opportunities in gold and uranium in Afghanistan. The BBC has seen a briefing prepared for Andrew by UK officials when he was a trade envoy, which he forwarded to the convicted sex offender in December of 2010, and includes a list of high-value commercial properties in Helmand province. This comes after the BBC reported that former prince had called the document confidential. Andrew has been approached for comment, but has yet to respond. Sir Vince Cable, who was business secretary at the time, described sharing the briefing as appalling behavior. Thames, is that how you say that? Thames Valley Police are already assessing whether to investigate the apparent sharing of documents related to Andrew's time as trade envoy. And then the story now is he gets arrested for misconduct in public office. It's kind of vague how they say it. So is the vague from King Charles. But here, last week, Thames Valley Police, which serves areas west of London, said they were examining claims that the former Prince Andrew sent confidential trade reports to disgraced business mogul Jeffrey Epstein during his time as the UK's envoy for international trade. And then as part of this investigation, they've arrested a man in his 60s from Norfolk for suspicion of misconduct in public office. It has nothing to do with the sexual stuff. It's for sharing trade secrets, which is still wrong and bad. But how it's being misrepresented, and if we're going to be honest with ourselves, it had nothing to do with the sex stuff. So just be wary. If we're going to be pursuing truth at all times, that's what we should be doing. And these are two good examples where on one end, me sharing the truth and like actually discussing what this executive order really does and not how it's being misrepresented, people see that as a good thing. They're like, oh yeah, defending Trump, that's great. But then if I do that about this, the Prince Andrew stuff, I bet you I will be called a pedophile protector. Like, why are you protecting pedophiles? It's not what I'm doing. I'm just operating the same manner in both instances. One of them fits your confirmation bias, so you love it. The other one doesn't, and so you don't. That's a broader issue within the community that we have been trying to address at Badlands and pursue the same thing at all times, truth. Anyway, you guys talking about the organic stuff. I know there are organic farmers out there, but prices on organic food is way higher than other food. And I don't know how to fix this issue. He's suspected of being an incompetent spy until they find proof he may have accidentally destroyed. The only game that can be played, if you're not this, well then you must be that. John researched Polyface Farms and Joel Salatin. Yeah, so Ty says, I know that's all we eat. They're probably like the healthiest eaters I've ever met. It's at every guard. They bring their own food. They cook their own food, all these things, organic, healthy. It's expensive. Not everybody can afford that. When we have our own compound, yes, Q Awakening, we will do our own thing. Go says, this feels like a good day to tune out. Yeah, I know. I saw, who was it? Shipwreck. She said that she's going to be muting people on Twitter that are posting like clickbait and rage bait. And I'm like, yeah, that's a great idea. I love that idea. But I feel like you would have to just delete the app for Lent. Like there's no avoiding it. It's everywhere. The psyops are everywhere, especially on Twitter. John look of farmersfootprint.us. They've helped farmers convert from GMO soy and corn. Okay, I'll check that out. I'll check out these options. Like I'm very supportive. I come from a family of farmers. I can relate to the struggle, you know. But it's from Trump's position, that the position that Trump is in, you have to not only make the food safe, but keep the farmers employed and keep the country fed at reasonable prices. I'm not envious of that tightrope. Ship also said she's given up cussing for Lent as she cussed her way through her show. I respect that. Both the cussing and the trying to give up cussing and the not living up to it. Maybe should I try to give up cussing for Lent? Because I haven't made my decision yet. Yeah, here's a good example of some of the things being spread around. This Dominic Treepy says former Prince Andrew, Mountbatten, Windsor arrested over Epstein-related content. You see how they're saying it? Epstein-related content. They're making it seem like they're being vague, just vague enough so people assume it's because of the sexual side of things, the pedophile stuff. And then here, this Drew Hernandez, whoever this guy is, I was told it was all a Democrat hoax. Why are we not seeing arrests like this in America? This is the op. This is the op against Trump and his administration. And there's probably people in the DOJ that are willingly participating, but they're trying to make it seem like Trump is covering something up so that they can delegitimize him and then impeach him. But that is not the truth. I haven't seen a single thing come out of the files yet. Again, being honest with ourselves, not a single thing come out of the files yet, even specifically about Prince Andrew, that shows that he was raping kids. Have we seen proof of that yet? Maybe I'm wrong. I haven't read through every single file, but he was arrested for trade secret stuff. Andrew made a boo-boo fake paper exchange BS to show the police are doing something. They want people to think the Epstein files are something that's not, so that they can go after Trump for not pursuing justice. It's the cover-up angle. We could have acquired the Yellowstone Ranch for pennies on the dollars, the Badlands compound. I wish. I'm just gonna tell salty people I mute you. I got 367. Johnny paid off Guffrey though. Did he? I guess I don't know that. GMO corn and soy farmers are basically kept in severe debt due to costs of all the fertilizers and pesticides and herbicides and GMO seeds. Price of the crops are rigged. Yeah, that's what they do with everything. Let me look that up. Oh, he settled a lawsuit. He settled a civil lawsuit, which again is different than my personal example, right? I was sued. The lawsuit is based on a lie, complete total lie. And multiple times along the way, while dealing with this, my attorneys have been like, hey, just settle, pay her off, pay her to go away. I was like, well, one, I don't have the money to do that. But two, based on principle alone, I cannot do that. I will not do that. I refuse to do that. I'd rather go bankrupt to come out and show that, like, yeah, this is the truth. She's full of shit. I'd rather do that than just make it more convenient, take the easy way, least expensive route, and pay her to go away. But that's what a lot of these lawyers look for, is settlements. That doesn't mean Like if I would have chose to settle, that doesn't mean that she's right about her claims. Doesn't mean that at all. Does that make sense? And these are the logical conclusions people try to come to, but they're really not that logical when you think about it, because they're assumptions for sure. But it doesn't really mean anything. I mean, maybe there's some there in terms of the Virginia Guthrie thing. I haven't read the civil lawsuit, but do you understand what I'm saying? Does that make sense? If you settle, it means they went. Yeah, I'm not going to settle it. Like I'm just giving you an example. I've already repeatedly said I would never do that. I actually said that if, like at the very beginning, when they're like, just they're probably looking for a settlement, just do it. And I was like, that would be tacitly admitting, in a sense, that they're right about all their claims, which they're not, and that is what we're set out to do. It would be the end of Badlands, and I can never do it. So don't worry, not happening. But that's just a good example of settlements of civil lawsuits do not necessarily mean anything other than they want it to like go away. Anyway, we have other stories I could probably talk about here. How much time do I have? 17 minutes or so. That's calm. See, and here's another good example. Bill Gates is canceling an AI summit speech after Epstein document release. They're doing everything they can to make the damages from the Epstein thing everywhere seem extremely consequential, so that every day that goes by where Trump doesn't do something that he can't do because it's not a there yet, it makes Trump look worse. Do you guys recognize that op? Sometimes I feel like I'm the only one. I thought this was interesting. The State Department is developing Freedom.gov portal to bypass foreign censorship. The U.S. Department of State is building an online portal designed to let users in Europe and other regions access content banned by their governments, including material labeled as hate speech or terrorist propaganda. The website will operate at Freedom.gov, and officials have discussed adding a virtual private network feature that would make traffic appear to originate from the United States while not tracking user activity. It's being led by the Sarah Rogers, Undersecretary for Public Diplomacy. State Department said digital freedom is a priority for the State Department, and that includes the proliferation of privacy and censorship circumvention technologies like VPNs. It aligns with the Trump administration's broader foreign policy focus on free speech and concerns about suppression of conservative voices online in Europe and Brazil. I just wish they would have more, like, this is great, whatever. Like, I believe everybody should have the God-given right to say how they feel and what they think, as long as it's not actually doing damage to anybody. I just wish there'd be more of a focus, like, here domestically. Like, hey, YouTube, why haven't you monetized this yet? I've said this. I've had this spiel so many times. I don't need to repeat it. But it's stuff like this. It's like, okay, why are we focusing on helping Europe with their free speech issues when I don't feel like we've fully resolved the issues we have here? That stuff annoys me. Not that it's a bad thing, but it's the whole example of, if my house is on fire and my neighbor's house is on fire, should I be using all my resources to go put out my neighbor's fire first? Or should I put out mine first and then go worry about my neighbors? Because if I only focus on theirs, I could be the one that ends up homeless. Got to take care of yourself first. And we haven't done that. But stuff like this, it might not even necessarily be a Trump-driven agenda, I wish John would talk about Tucker being detained in Israel. I saw that story come out yesterday, and it turns out like it's probably just a standard screening process they do at the airport. Like, I don't know if he was actually detained. And so I'm kind of waiting on that story to give it a little more time before I know, because I could just react to the headline that came out, but I'm not 100% confident that we're getting the full truth of that story from any of the people telling it. So going to take it with a grain of salt and wait and see if any more comes out on it. Our neighbor will take you in. I doubt it. Thanks, killed trucker. Still important. Put on your own oxygen mask first. Yeah. The Kansas legislature just overrode the Democrat governor's veto and enacted a law that bans men from women's restroom, defines male and female at birth, requires accurate listing of male or female. That's insane, PJ. Not surprising, though. If John's house catches fire, my bet is it's the little boy with the flamethrower. Oh, that's such a good point. And so true. Tucker just posted the interview. I'll have to watch it. I haven't watched it yet. Yeah, our government's captured at all levels. That's a good example of how they do it. What else do I got for you guys? Oh, I thought this was a little interesting. If it's true, it's in the Washington Post, and they just fired a bunch of people because they suck. So maybe there's nothing to this, but after leaving the WHO, World Health Organization, Trump officials proposed more expensive replacement to duplicate it. I think this is retarded if it's true. HHS proposes spending $2 billion a year to recreate systems the U.S. accessed through the WHO at a fraction of the cost, according to officials briefed on the matter. After pulling out of the WHO, the Trump admin is proposing spending $2 billion a year to replicate the global disease surveillance and outbreak functions the United States once helped build and accessed at a fraction of the cost, according to 3 admin officials briefed on the proposal. They're going to run a U.S. or build a U.S. run alternative, which would recreate those systems, labs, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. So I'm going to wait on this one and see if it's true too, but just put it in your ear. It would be kind of dumb to be like, hey, the WHO sucks, we're going to leave it. But instead, we're going to do our own thing. Is it going to actually resolve a lot of the issues with WHO? And I know that's basically what they just did with the Board of Peace and the UN or whatever. Like, they had their first meeting, yesterday? The Board of Peace? So, I mean, I understand the logic behind it. Not necessarily sure I agree with it. Because it can definitely be weaponized and used like anything against us, like it has been. Trump is apparently going to decide whether or not to attack Iran in the next 10 days. And because of that, oil prices have jumped. But he said, we might have to take it a step further, or we may not. Maybe we're going to make a deal. You're going to be finding out over the next 10 days, probably. It's so stupid. I still think the whole Iran thing and all these foreign conflicts are so stupid. But yeah, they're gearing up for war. Trump will probably tease it like he is. Like, oh yeah, we're definitely going to go to war. Get all the warmongers hot and bothered. Wouldn't even be surprised if they do another bombing run on something. Like giving advance notice to Iran. Hey, we're going to bomb this base. Get all your people out of there. They're going to bomb it. No casualties will be reported. And then Iran will respond. Give us heads up. No casualties will be reported. And then an announcement will come like, yep, war's over. We can finally have peace now. And then we'll just move on to the next phase of the negotiations with nothing actually being accomplished. But all the warmongers got their jimmies rustled, got their rocks off for a moment, and can't really complain or call it fake and gay like it is. It's an interesting dynamic. And it's the same template he's been using over and over again with all this stuff. We always give 10-day warning. Yes, we do, because it's super real conflicts. Tucker's interview was great. Yes, the way Christians are treated in Israel is true and needs more light. It's all documented. Yeah. Gas prices going up. Yup. Oh, what else? I don't even know if I have any other stories for you guys. I think that's it. So now you guys have my attention. What do you want to talk about? A couple of Rumble rants we got here. Lee Walden for $2 says, ahoy, John. As this journey of discovery always continues, there's always more that meets me eye. Critical eye and willingness to do your deep research is very much appreciated. Keep it up. Thank you. Lee Walden says, we can go to the moon, Mars, and help our Mother Earth all at the same time. Ain't nothing but a thing. Yeah. Just depends where our priorities lie, I guess. Mega Keys Girl says, John, last night you asked why is mainstream news acknowledging Q? It seems they were trying to get ahead of Prince Andrew arrest. Could be. I don't know. Everything the mainstream media does, as I said last night, is some sort of op. And they haven't changed tactics. Like they haven't all of a sudden been like, oh, okay, well, I guess they're right about Q. We're going to start being honest and not running constant psyops and trying to delegitimize and undermine Trump at every opportunity. That's not what they're doing. Everything about their behavior has remained constant and the same, except now they're also acknowledging Q was right about the Epstein stuff. Oh, maybe Q was right. So to me, and maybe I'm wrong about it, I could be, but until we see how this plays out fully, the current op I'm recognizing is that acknowledgement itself is part of the op. And I think we're eating it up a little bit too much. It's not we, some people. We're not stopping to smell the psyop. S-Busin, glyphosate is horribly toxic. It is used because it works with GMO seed. I work for both the U.S. Department of Interior and Bayer as a scientist. I'm not on board with this at all. RFK won the class action. Yeah, he did win a big class. It was like $200-some million. That's interesting that you work for both those entities. You obviously have a insider knowledge. But the question comes down to what happens if we lose the ability to get access to the glyphosate? Like what happens to the farmers and what happens to the food? And are we pursuing alternatives, like healthy alternatives to the chemical? Because I'm not saying that it's not horribly toxic, but do we have any other options? And do those other options keep the farmers in business and keep our prices reasonable? Like that's what I'm seeing here, is that question, that dynamic. That's what needs to be resolved. But I appreciate that input. I love getting people with more direct knowledge than I have, because I'm normally just talking out my ass. I can recognize when things are above my pay grade. So SBC, and if you have any other comments to that, I'd appreciate it. They want us to starve. John has a point. Yeah. Skeptical. Bill Maher is a fucking shit and will always be a fucking shit. I don't care if you apologize to Q people or whatever. That swearing was not my fault. That was his fault. Sorry, here we go. I have a huge seed bank that could plant food for thousands. Wish I did. SB, if you're still in the chat, you should respond. I am very curious about what other alternatives we have. Oh man, the sun's starting to come out. No. I've been amazed at how much my own I can grow, can dry and freeze. You should research the history of Bayer and the relationship with early German politics. I'm not trying to defend Bayer, and the immunity that they're going to give isn't even going to be for Bayer necessarily. They already produce it almost exclusively, It's for if they have to go to another company like Tampax for Tom Renz's tampons and force them to stop making Tom Renz's tampons and instead produce the phosphate. It gives them immunity for the contract they had with Tom Renz, hypothetically speaking. Phil Scarper, are we past Penisgate or not? Yes, we are. We got over that yesterday. I'm just kind of waiting for S. Busin to comment if maybe she's not watching live. Yes, there are options. Let's have a round table. Your screen is beginning to look like an anti-Chris Paul mode. Oh, the inverse Chris Paul. Frank did an interview with a farmer from Rep. Good stuff. It's who I use. It's the most sun John's seen in a while. Well, I'm sick of, this is from Skeptical, I'm sick of QAnon's giving a shit about what Bill Maher says. It's that sort of acknowledging celeb opinions that gives them any sort of power. Totally agree. And I hate that we do that. It's like, on one hand, they say, oh, we're finally defeating the mainstream media and Hollywood and all these places are just totally irrelevant. And then celebrating and cheering when Bill Maher comes out and says a nice thing about Trump, as if that's helping us. No, you guys are falling for it. Rocket Savvy, John, glyphosate is generic now, not made under patent. It's not a fertilizer. Yeah, whatever it is. Like, again, I don't know the scientific. I can acknowledge I'm not like trying to get down to the molecular level of what the chemical is and whether or not it's good or bad for you. Seems like definitely is bad for you. That is not the argument I'm making. I'm not defending the use of it. I am showing you guys what Trump is actually doing with this executive order, and then asking what are our other options. Can we use this as an opportunity to pursue other options so that Trump doesn't have to do this, so that this becomes irrelevant? That's the conversation we should be having. Anyway, I think that might be all I got. Lee Walden for $2 says, let's get a program going about farming, ranching, and nature goodies. We should do that. So in order to bring somebody new on to talk about a different topic like that, I would need to meet them and know that they are not douchebags. That's the problem we typically run up to when we try to grow the number of hosts at Badlands. T. Gretzky thought the new EO was mainly to bring glyphosate production back to the US. Yes, he did the same thing with timber and other critical minerals. Like, it's very much in line with a lot of the domestic production EOs that Trump has put out there, especially ones that he has considered to be national security. The problem is that we don't have the healthy alternative. So let's figure that out. Laughing and whooping at the View trying to explain a name beating the Epstein files doesn't mean they did anything wrong. Yeah. Spets, I'm a little bit of a douchebag, but it's right in my wheelhouse. I think we all are. We're all a little douchey. We're all a little retarded. All right. Guys, I think I'm going to wrap it up here. What is today's Thursday? I don't remember what's after me on Thursdays. Let me check. I don't think anything really, not immediately after. So yeah, I'm going to wrap it up here. I'll be back on tomorrow on the Daily Herold. Man, that sun is bright. So you guys have a good rest of your day. Do me a favor, hit that thumbs up. I got to go help. We got the U-Haul box now. I got to start loading stuff into there. So I'm going to be moving furniture pretty much the rest of the day. I'm really excited about it. Like, super excited. I can't even tell you how excited I am to move furniture. But the things you do for love, right? Am I right? Anyway, you guys have a good rest of your day. I will see you next time I see you. Proof that John is not a vampire. Anyway, okay. Catch you later, guys. I'm heading out. Hit the thumbs up.
Let's get started.
That's what she said.
Oh, that's real good.
Why they stopping me? Stopping me.